You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now on the Mo Kelly Show, it's Tiffany Hobbs, the viral load. She'll speak of all the viral things social media can bring. Facebook, Insta, X, TikTok, the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs. Viral load, the viral load. Viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI AM 640, Mr. Mo Kelly here, and also Tiffany Hobbs. Let's get going with the viral load.
Let's get going. And first, I want to thank you, Mo, for your tribute, the ongoing tribute you've been doing to Frankie Beverly. I am also a huge fan, so I can't wait for your memoriam later in the show. I've been listening to your bumpers. I'm really enjoying them. Thank you for that. You're welcome. First story involves Angelina Jolie, who I actually recently saw in Target. No security.
Wait, what?
In Target. And not just any Target. Target off of La Cienega and Rodeo.
Was she readily recognizable?
Yes. And she had her oldest daughter with her, who was even more recognizable, to be honest. So that's how I knew it was Angelina.
The one who went to Spelman?
I'm sorry. The oldest daughter by Brad. Oldest biological daughter. Okay. Shiloh, I believe, is her name. This story isn't about Angelina at Target. This story is about Angelina Jolie at the Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF. It's actually going on until the end of this weekend. And earlier this week, Angelina Jolie premiered her newest movie, Without Blood. While she was there, she left to do some pressers. She went outside of the area to sign autographs with fans. And something very interesting happened. And the reason I brought up Target is Angelina was without security in Target. She was walking with her daughter. No one seemed to bother her. The opposite happened at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival. She was swarmed by fans and admirers, and she's signing autographs like crazy. She has security around her to kind of keep a close perimeter. A young lady breaks through the security perimeter, completely breaches it, grabs Angelina Jolie aggressively, hugs her around her waist, and doesn't let go. Angelina is momentarily shocked, as you can imagine. And then she turns, she sees who's hugging her, because the young lady actually hugged her kind of from the side or back. She couldn't see her, and she was much shorter than Angelina. Angelina then takes a moment to greet this young lady. They have something, they exchange some words that are inaudible. We can't really tell what they're saying, but it's friendly. Angelina's smiling. The young girl is crying. And then security takes the young lady away, and Angelina is seen saying, "Be nice to her," as they move this young lady away. What's going viral is that this entire exchange was recorded and uploaded to multiple social media accounts. And people are, of course, discussing this breach in security, saying, luckily, the young lady was kind, affable, somewhat gentle. But what if it had been otherwise?
Here's my question. How many security does she have? Because I'm thinking that she should have eyes on her at all time. And for someone to slip through meant that someone really, really failed in their responsibilities.
What I saw was that there was a minimum of 3 security guards around her. There was also security from the International Film Festival. So there were a lot of measures in place to protect the actors and directors and everyone involved. But in this case, there was some sort of lapse, and it allowed this young lady to break through. So dangerous. Fortunately, it didn't turn out that way.
You said young lady. How old was she roughly?
She looks to be somewhere between maybe 16 and 20.
Okay, child looking.
Child looking, small, very demure in size.
Oh, here we go.
But again, fortunately, it didn't turn out to be anything other than a fan admiration moment. But we know how these things can
go. Yeah, absolutely.
And it went viral. The second story involves a beloved figure in sports history who is
this has been blowing up my phone all day long.
You must know about it. A talk show host. I'm talking of the incomparable Shannon Sharpe, NFL Hall of Famer, and again, talk show host, newly minted, I would say. He has a lot of notoriety based off of the interviews he has. He had one that went very viral with Cat Williams, the comedian, and he's kind of known now as the go-to if you're trying to kind of break some news or revamp or control your image in any way. Well, Shannon Sharpe himself is doing damage control for his image because earlier today, Shannon Sharpe in his 50s.
Hey, why you got to bring age into this?
Because I think that there's a correlation to your generation, Mo, and technology, and maybe not understanding the intricacies of technology and how these things can work against you. Let me tell you what happened. I'm going to try and get through this. We can't play the audio.
Oh, no.
At all.
Oh, no.
Shannon Sharpe was enjoying himself with a lady friend. We know her name is Michelle.
Why do we know that?
We hear Shannon Sharpe refer to her multiple times throughout this recording. And the recording is such that while they're enjoying their personal time, their intimate time, Shannon Sharpe appears to misplace his cell phone in a way that allows for us to not see what's going on in the room, but to hear what's going on in the room. And if that weren't bad enough, he somehow ticked off or pushed a control on his phone that allowed this recording to go live.
So he live streamed having sex.
You're saying it better than I am. He live streamed himself having sex. We don't see it, but we hear it in all of its glory for about 3 minutes until Shannon Sharpe realized that he was live streaming what was going on.
I unfortunately was sent that video at least 15 times because it's like everyone thinks that they're the first person to send it to me.
Yeah.
And I listened to it once, so I was like, why do people keep sending me this particular clip?
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear the heavy breathing. You can hear the name calling.
Mm-hmm.
They were possessive. There was possession in there. It's like, it's yours.
There were directives.
Yes.
There was admiration. Yes.
Put this here.
Absolutely. Do more of that.
Right.
Yes. So it seems that Shannon Sharpe and this young lady named Michelle were really enjoying themselves, of course, by the sound of what we hear. And as you can imagine, this recording has gone viral. Mo himself had it sent 50 times, had it sent to him 50 times. I've seen it. I've seen it online multiple times. People are sharing it wide. And Shannon Sharpe came out and said, no.
It's wrong terminology. It's wrong terminology.
You know, there are some theories as to the convenience of this video. I'll let people surmise. There have been some rumors about Shannon Sharpe, and there are some who think that this might be damage control on that end when it comes to who he is. But he came out, so to speak, and said...
That's why I said it's the wrong terminology.
I was... Steph, come on. I was hacked.
Yeah, that worked 10 years ago. Yeah. Nobody's hacked, and it was a live broadcast and then also saved. Here's the funny part for me. This is a real funny part of the story. Everyone who works in sports broadcasting named Michelle made it very clear on social media. It wasn't me. Like Michelle Beadle and Michelle Tafoya.
Yes. People are trying to figure out who Michelle is. There are some ideas, but nothing has been confirmed. And again, Shannon Sharpe said, no, technical difficulties. Someone hacked my account. They got in. This is not me. But if you know Shannon Sharpe's voice, if you listen to any of his work or watch his work, he has a very unique dialect to him. It is undeniably Shannon Sharpe.
Yeah, there's certain things I don't want to know about other people.
Yes.
And I don't want to hear your bedroom voice.
I didn't want to hear it. I could have gone my lifetime without knowing Shannon Sharpe's bedroom voice, but now it's everywhere and I can't get it out of my head.
Very demure.
Part 2 of the Viral Load coming up in just a moment with Tiffany Hobbs. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Time for the Viral Load with Tiffany. Live on KFI. It's Later with Mo Kelly. She'll talk about the top hits on social media. The Viral Load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI, Mo Kelly, Tiffany Hobbs, the Viral Load, Part 2. Take it away.
So we're moving over to TikTok for this story. And it actually comes from the city of Gardena, where I'm from. Like many cities, there are street vendors. They may sell fruit. They may sell some sort of meat dish. And in this case, a person caught on film a vendor seemingly praying before his shift. I say seemingly because we know that the vendor is praying. We don't know necessarily if this is fully before the person's shift, but it does appear that this fruit vendor was kneeling to welcome in some good vibes and hope for a productive and lucrative day. And this recording, this video was uploaded to TikTok of the vendor, Luis Angel Morales, and it has since garnered over 1 million views. The caption that accompanied the video was, "Support street vendors. Hopefully he makes money." So I pulled this story because we see a lot in the news. There are a lot of stories involving vendors and whether or not they have a place in the city. And in this case, we're really looking at the humanitarian side of what this person might be doing. And we're seeing just a simple moment, a private moment, and a person trying to make an honest day's living or an honest day's pay, and relying on whatever their religion is to somehow help them through it. And I thought it was an interesting story because it's somewhat mundane. You don't expect these sorts of stories to go viral and be shared far and wide. But I think the virality of it speaks to just how polarizing the topic is of street vendors.
Now, I didn't see this story, but in your, I'll just say, search of social media, was it mostly positive? Was it mostly derisive? What were people saying?
It was mostly positive. This story was mostly positive. In my search for stories for the viral load, I want to be balanced, and especially on the heels of the presidential debate, on the heels of what's going on around the country, just with everything that's going on, our fires locally, I wanted to try and find some stories that could inject some humor or have a different angle. And this is one that really stood out. It was kind of flying under the radar. It's super hyper local, and I thought it'd be a good entry.
Okay. To your point, it's good to hear something positive. I just know, to your point, the idea and issue of street vending has been a political football which has been kicked around, where street vendors have been given more access legally than ever before, and there's been tremendous pushback against that.
There has. The story with Langer's Deli is a big story that is most recent in talking about the feelings about street vendors and inequity that is felt between mom and pop or brick and mortar places and these street vendors. So in the comments, like I said, this particular post was mostly positive, and it depends on where it is posted. This user wanted to present this in a positive way, and he did, in fact, get a positive response. So I wanted to share it with you.
All right. You got one more?
Let's do one more, and there's a possible fifth entry. So I'm going to go through this one quickly. It's kind of a round robin one. There's a debate on social media that body wash is not actually soap. And you scrunch your face up, Mo. And I'm going to ask you a question in one moment. This debate started on Reddit, popular blog and conversational place, and it has taken off. It's all over social media. It's highly viral. And what people are saying is, despite the factual evidence and science and all the things that show that body wash and soap are both effective cleansers, there are two separate schools of thought. One that says body wash is soap and you can use it and it's fine. And another that says body wash, the squeezable liquid soap, is not good enough. It is not potent enough. It is not soap and you shouldn't be using it. Mo Kelly, and I want to know if you, Mark Ronner, as well, and Steph, what do you use? Are you a bar soap user? No judgment, judgment-free zone. Or are you a body wash user?
I have not used bar soap in decades, because when you get down to the last of that residue, I haven't used bar soap in forever. I only use body wash, and I smell great all the time.
Who told you that?
All the time.
Most of the time.
I just know.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Okay.
It's a long day in here.
We have discussions / arguments about this fairly routinely because I insist on having a bar of soap. I like a bar of soap. I don't like body wash. And I just bought a massive amount of bar soap at Costco, like enough to last through the zombie apocalypse.
Was it like Dial, Zest?
Kirkland, in fact.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, you could fill the bed of a truck with it. That's how much I got.
Steph, what about you?
I actually in both camps because I'll use the bar soap to kind of
pick a side, man. Pick
really
a side.
really clean that off, and then I'll use body wash because the one I have has like a moisturizer and it's got a scent, so then I always smell good.
Yeah, I'm like you, Steph. I use both, so I'm right down the center. This is very nonpartisan. Tawala just came in. Are you a body wash or bar soap person? Both, neither, just water? What do you do?
Only cavemen use bar soap.
Thank you.
What?
Yes, he is correct. Only cavemen, and you would qualify as a caveman, Mark Ronner.
Please explain this assertion.
Okay. All right. Twala, he's putting on his headphones. Now he can hear you. Go ahead, Twala. Explain your assertion.
A real man wants to have his skin smooth and supple, clean and fresh. You don't want women smelling you like you work in a garage. What do? You work on cars? What are you?
That's what grease monkeys use. They use bar soap.
Kirkland. I fix cars during the day.
I will have a skin off with you any day of the week. I've got the skin of a fetus. I don't know what you're talking about.
Not with Kirkland,
well,
sir.
I haven't broken into the Kirkland soap yet, but I smell good. I'm glad that
you got Ivory. What do you got?
Dial.
What do you got?
Zest. Yeah.
This guy with bar soap.
It's great that the three of you have such healthy self-regard for how you smell, which you've all decided on your own.
Yeah, because we bathe frequently. Thank you very much.
I bathe at least a couple times a month. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Before we go to break, can I get one story in since everyone is here?
No, wait. We didn't decide what was the overall feeling.
I feel like you want to move on to this next story.
No, you don't leave me hanging. What are most people...
It's nonpartisan.
Desiring.
We're whatever. It's whatever floats your boat, Mo. But this next story.
No. If you drop the bar of soap, nothing is floating your boat.
Let us know. What do people say that they prefer?
Social media users are split like we are in the studio. Some say bar soap like Mark, and some say body wash. Some say both. It's not really a scientific study that was conducted.
People who use bar soap say,
I just face my balls. You get face plants, transplants.
This has to be the dumbest ad hominem argument I've ever heard.
Just wait, we got another half hour.
Please.
There's more coming. Go ahead.
Last
Tiffany.
story. Wombats. If you are ever around a wombat, do not approach it from behind for many reasons. It will twerk you to death. Its defense mechanism is to literally use its butt to bash your head into the nearest surface. So there's a video floating around online. It's totally viral where there's a simulation and wombats are in a cave and this fox tries to get to a wombat or some sort of animal, some sort of predatory animal. And the wombat backs it up into the cave, into the mouth of the cave.
Like juvenile?
And twerks or uses its butt to bounce the head of the predator into the ceiling of this cave, bashing it, killing it. I wanted you to know this story, Mo, because I feel like
who would come up behind a wombat? Who?
Don't you judge?
Who is after that wombat?
Who's trying to sneak up on that booty?
Who wants that wombat?
So I have a question for you. Would you like to be twerked to death?
But be
specific.
I'm just saying,
Studies show that 2 out of every 4 men, and there are 4 men in this studio, 2 here and 2 there, 2 out of every 4 men want to be twerked to death.
Sounds like
death, but that's a wombat.
Yeah, no, this sounds like something
bestiality.
for Shannon Sharp to be discussing.
I don't know. Not with animals, just in general.
We've already seen this in a John Waters movie, by the way.
What's wrong with twerking? Yeah, I mean, back that thing up.
Like twerk somebody into the hospital?
Look, I've been
okay, wait.
Go ahead.
I have actually seen someone get injured trying to hold on to a vicious twerker.
Yes.
And ended up falling.
Didn't have the seatbelt on.
Yeah, didn't. Yes. I have actually witnessed someone get injured trying to out twerk a twerker.
That is 100% believable.
I can't. I'm not even playing. I am so serious, and it was astonishing to watch happen. I mean, this guy, he literally got bucked off of her.
Well, yeah, who would joke about a thing like that? That's an assault.
Very good. Very strong.
Go ahead.
Very good.
Oh, look at the time.
That's all I got. That's enough.
KFI AM 640. That was the viral load.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
The sound of the silky, silky soul singer, Frankie Beverly, who passed away at the age of 77. He is an R&B, was an R&B and a funk legend. Sometimes they refer to it as Frankie Beverly and Mays, or it's Mays featuring Frankie Beverly, but that group had been together for all of my life. The group Mays was formed in 1970. So that's literally all of my life. And you can hear how his music is very, very connected to the Philadelphia sound. He was working with Gamble and Huff, if you know the Philadelphia sound, over the years. Philadelphia born and raised. And this is where I take a step back, because Tawala Sharp, producer of the show, has been a long time music radio producer and can add a different perspective. I talk about Frankie Beverly from just being a connoisseur of his music, his catalog, loving what he has brought to my life and the music and what it has meant in my life. But if we were to take it up to 30,000 feet, Tawala, what would you say about Frankie Beverly and his music and what it meant to the masses?
Frankie Beverly and Mays featuring Frankie Beverly at a point in time when the then hip hop station that I was working at, 92.3 The Beat, and we were primarily just a hip hop R&B station. There are a few old school R&B soul acts whose music transcended the ages. Frankie Beverly and Mays were one of those such acts. Even when we flipped over and became an urban adult station playing primarily adult music for African-American listeners, that was the core of our station. And I think the very first time I ever went to a concert, it was Budweiser Superfest in Pasadena. I think this was 86, 87 maybe. And when I saw Frankie Beverly and Mays step on stage and go for like a half hour straight before Frankie Beverly grabbed the mic and said, "I'm Frankie Beverly and this is Mays," and then kept going and sounded better live on stage than they did on all the records I had heard before, I was forever more of a fan of Frankie Beverly and Mays.
You said something that reminded me. If you ever had the opportunity to go to a Mays featuring Frankie Beverly concert, it's the only concert that I've ever been to where the whole audience is dancing and singing the songs word for word. When I say dancing, full on doing the cha-cha in the aisle, like you're at a like someone's party and the band performing just happened to be Mays featuring Frankie Beverly, but the whole audience. You can't go to a Mays featuring Frankie Beverly concert and sit down and just watch. No, it is an actual experience where you're involved with the group.
Yeah, no, they are without a doubt one of the premier bands of our lifetime, and the sound and the voice of Frankie Beverly will forever be etched into just our soul. It is the soundtrack, even though I know in Philly, that was a yearly annual event. You go and you watch that show. You dress up in your white linen, and that's where you're at.
I forgot. Yeah, because Frankie Beverly always performed
in white. Yes. And I believe, I'm trying to think of which show, but we had them on a show, and I mean, watching people in the crowd crying, and joy and all of that. A truly, truly transcended voice for music, period.
And it's something, their music touched me, touched you. Tiffany Hobbs talked about touched her. We had Claudine Cooper in earlier talking about it was the soundtrack. Music was the soundtrack to her life. This is something I talk about all the time, about music being that time machine, takes you back to where you were, who you were, and what was going on in your life at that time. And I could play certain songs and I say, oh yeah, I was dating so-and-so. Oh yeah, I remember I was going through a breakup then. That reminds me of this. I can't listen to that Frankie Beverly Mays song because it reminds me of this moment in my life. And sometimes certain people's music has a much stronger pull and connection than others. Frankie Beverly makes there's a much more emotional, visceral reaction when I hear his music because it speaks to you in a way that most other music does not and cannot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Truly, truly a voice that will be missed. And I know towards the end of his career, I remember there were points in time, and anytime they would perform, I would always try to go and see the show. And I remember some of the last shows that I went to where he relied on the audience to sing along.
Right.
And we knew what was happening with his voice. And we still sang along with him. It was just having him on stage.
The audience carried the show.
We carried the whole show, and it was always a magical time.
I think he did his final concert in like July or so,
in New Orleans.
Recently. Yes.
Yeah, in New Orleans, which is interesting because Frankie Beverly performed at the New Orleans Jazz Festival, Essence Festival, for about 20 years since the inception of the festival. And he was kind of this adopted son in New Orleans, and he really solidified his career there. They always welcomed him back. And to end his career with his farewell tour in New Orleans was very poetic. So they're celebrating.
I knew he had a number of health challenges over the years. You knew he was slowing down, and you knew that his musical career end was imminent. At least they had a chance to formally say goodbye to the audience, the fans, and people knew going in, this is the last tour, this is the last performance, this is going to be the last thing. And to your point, 12, the last few performances, he wasn't doing a lot of singing at all. It was more the audience, as I was saying, kind of carrying the performance because we all knew all the words. We knew all the key changes. We knew all the musical intonations and the subtleties of it, the riffs of it, everything. And, if there's some good news to take from this is his fans had a chance to say goodbye.
Absolutely.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And before we get out of here, just got to remind you that Gary and Shannon, they'll have their News and Brews show at BJ's Restaurant and Brew House in Cerritos. They'll be giving away prizes. There'll be news. There'll be brews, all sorts of fun. So don't miss it. That's Gary and Shannon broadcasting live from BJ's Restaurant and Brew House in Cerritos from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'll be picking up Mark Ronner at about 8 a.m. and we'll be driving our way out there unless Mark has a change of heart.
No, I'm excited. I haven't done any day drinking in forever. This is going to be good.
Okay, so what time are you getting up then?
Just whenever you pick me, just honk the horn. I'll be out.
Okay, but customarily you are not awake at that time, and I don't know if the long-suffering one will be home to wake you up if need be.
Where do you think she's going to be? Listen, I'm a team player. I'm a team player, and I can rise to the occasion for my beloved work colleagues.
Okay, so that means I pick you up at 8. We get there,
and we're drinking by 9. Yes,
right. So how are we supposed to get back if we're both drinking?
Well, you're the designated driver.
Okay, so you're drinking, and I'm just driving.
Kind of a chauffeur situation, I'm afraid.
Okay,
I mean, I didn't want to have to say it that way, but in effect, that's what it's going to be.
All right. I want a true answer here, an honest answer. What's the earliest, and I consider earliest, you've gone to sleep and waken up, not like drunk all the way through the night into the morning, which I've done.
Well, what are you talking about?
No, I'm asking you, what's the earliest that you've had your first drink waking up?
I'm not a day drinker at all. I never do.
Your Honor, the witness is not answering the question.
I mean, if you're talking about like an occasional Sunday from years ago when it was hot out and I sat at a cafe and had a beer or something. I don't know, like 4 p.m.
or 4 a.m.
Like I said, I'm just not a day drinker. I don't associate drinking with the daytime at all.
No, either am I. I think the earliest I've ever had a drink, and I think I was in France, as a matter of fact. It was like maybe No, it would be college because I made the mistake of, I think I was a senior, as a matter of fact, before senior week. I had 2 or 3 beers at like 12 o'clock, and it was a hot May day, and I got a headache and passed out on the lawn because you're drinking in the sun. You're not supposed to do that.
Not recommended.
No, but I didn't know that, so I did it, and now I know, or knew from then, not to do that.
Was this in France?
No. This was in college. So I was maybe a senior at Georgetown. So this was maybe 1990. Yeah, it was 1991.
Okay, because I think the kids in France could outdrink you.
I would hope so. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah, they get wine with their school lunches, don't they?
No, to be serious, I did not do a lot of drinking in college, and I definitely didn't in high school. I think I had 2 occasions where I had alcohol in high school. Once I was over at Neil Griffith's house. His parents were out of town. He decided to throw a party. I told my parents that I was spending the night over at Neil Griffith's. Mike Griffiths, Neil's his dad, and said that Neil would be out of town, and which was not the whole story. I just said I would be over there, but we'd have some parental supervision. This was before they had cell phones. So, and my parents knew his parents. It was good enough. They took us at our word. And I remember I got drunk that night. It was a raging kegger party. It was great. And there was one other time where friend's party got drunk off of vodka, and that was it. That was the only 2 times in high school. And I didn't do a lot of drinking in college. So I was a relative lightweight.
And there was no vomiting involved with these stories of underage drinking.
No, not the underage drinking.
Interesting.
No, but when I got to college, the first time I got drunk and had a hangover and had a really bad night, I remember it to this day. It was freshman year, and it was Halloween night. And the drinking age in D.C. was 18 back then. They had the grandfather clause where they were moving from 18 to 21, and we could drink. Even though I was only 17 as a freshman, 18 was close enough.
Yeah, Idaho used to have I think it was a 19-year-old drinking age, and that accounted for a lot of the traffic across the state line from Washington.
There you go. And I remember we went down into Georgetown, the area, which is like Westwood is to Georgetown, Westwood is to UCLA. And we got all this vodka. For some reason, I had a vodka thing in freshman year of college.
Well, it mixes with anything. It's like protoplasm.
No, that's why, because I was an accomplished drinker, I just knew that I could mix vodka with orange juice, a screwdriver. It's like one of 2 drinks I knew. I knew rum and Coke, and I knew screwdriver. That was it.
Well, screwdriver's like a health drink. Of course you're going to go for that.
But the point was, when they asked, what are you drinking? And I just, screwdriver said, okay, we'll get some vodka and orange juice. But the story is, I had never got so blasted in my young life at that point, where I thought when I woke up my life was going to end, where you just pray for the hangover to just go away. And it took like a full 24 hours before I felt halfway normal.
Oh yeah, one of those dirty leaving Las Vegas hangovers.
Yeah, the ones that stick with you for life. I'm talking, this was 91, that was a good 33 years ago.
I think that's what make a lot of people cut down on drinking, is just the filth and horror of those monster hangovers.
Oh, no. And it's one of those things where I will never have another one of those again in life. I'm too old to go through that stuff. I can't pray to the porcelain god for hours anymore. I refuse.
No, I hate that feeling. And you read about, was it Oliver Reed who drank himself to death while he was busy filming Gladiator, and he died of drinking before he finished shooting all his scenes? That happened after a drinking contest.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't do competitive drinking. I've never done like quarters, beer pong. I've never done any of that stuff.
Well, because the premise of all those is that you drink if you lose. I think you drink when you win. Drinking is the reward for winning.
I like now, and it's rather infrequently, to sip on, like I did on the cruise. I'll have a small glass of Jack neat, because I don't need that whole extra sugar of a soda or anything, and just a Jack straight. Good times. Good times.
I can't believe we're going to end the show agreeing on something. Except for the cruise.
We're going to get you on a cruise.
Not going to happen.
We're going to keep trying. Is that our face transplant?
No, you'll have to knock me out like Mr. T on the A-Team. It's just not going to happen.
Speaking of which, I was watching the whole Rocky marathon. I think it was yesterday. They were doing like Rocky 1 through Rocky 5. I can't remember what channel it was. I think it was maybe FX or something, but it was great.
It's just the first 3. That's all you need.
Yeah, I couldn't watch Rocky 4 because that's when they kill Apollo Creed, and now that Carl Weathers is gone, it hits differently. So I couldn't watch Rocky 4. It hurt
4 is just too silly. Apart from Carl Weathers, like the giant
robot.
You can't deal with 4.
Well, okay. Well, the first 3 were good.
Oh yeah, and slightly homoerotic by the time you get to the 3rd one with Rocky and Apollo running along the beach
with the half shirts and the short shorts
and jumping up and down and hugging each other
in the surf.
I mean, I don't know how far you want. Oh, look at the time.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
When I think of 9/11, I think of tragedy, sadness, and ultimately unifying our country for supporting a city that unfortunately tragically fell.
KFI
and KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.